Walmart Plus. It's Walmart plus free delivery, which saves members time plus money. Yep. Plus an included Paramount Plus subscription to stream movies, shows, sports, and that can't-miss documentary. Plus Burger King savings. That's right. Members get 25% off Burger King digital orders every day of the week. Walmart Plus. It's Walmart Plus. Become a member at walmartplus.com. $35 order minimum. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. Valid at participating US BKs in the BK app or bk.com for members only. 25% off one time per calendar day. Terms apply. See Walmart Plus terms and conditions.
Listeners, are you looking for a shortcut to better auto insurance for you? Something that takes all the research off your plate. Something that's easy. Something that matches you at lower rates. Something genius. That's where NerdWallet comes in. These nerds have already done the work for you. Just answer a few questions and ta-da, you'll be matched with top insurance providers in your area. Find the right rate for you today at nerdwallet.com. After all, using NerdWallet is more than just smart, it's genius. Not all applicants will qualify for the lowest monthly payments. NerdWallet Insurance Services, Inc. CA resident license number OK92033.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to the Jello Jiggling Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Ward, and I just got back. Well, last night I got back, but from the crazy game in Denver, Lakers Nuggets, with Luka just going off, scored 32 points. His best game as a Laker by far. 32 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, and 4 steals. I mean, he was just doing everything, and the main reason the Lakers crushed Denver. I mean, they crushed them. It was close for most of the game. I want to say like within, 10 points. They kept going. The Lakers kept going over 10, and the Nuggets would cut it back down, which the Nuggets always tend to do against the Lakers. And then usually they take over in the third or the fourth quarter. They just kind of figure it out and they pull it out. That wasn't the case last night, and it was kind of crazy to watch. Because it felt like a shift for the Lakers, just like a huge shift. Because, I mean, they just came off 3 pretty disappointing games in Luka's debut, right? He sat out the last game in Portland, which the Lakers won because LeBron dropped 40 in Portland. But, I mean, it was against some of the worst teams in the league. They lost to Charlotte, which was embarrassing, in LA. And then they lost to Utah, and just not good. They didn't look good at all. They looked lost on defense, which is kind of what I've been harping on ever since the Luka trade. Like thinking, like, okay, well, yeah, they're going to be incredible offensively, but they can't stop anybody. So that's going to be the big problem. And last night was kind of a crazy mix of both things. They played great defense, and they were lighting the scoreboard up. I mean, they didn't really struggle much with Jokic and co. There were stretches here and there where Jokic would get going or Murray would get going, and or Gordon's hit some outside shots in the corner. But for the most part, they had no idea how to handle both LeBron and Luka and Reeves and Rui all at the same time. All 3 of those guys scored 20 more points. All 4 of them. It's the first time I'd seen like a well-rounded offensive performance by this Lakers team kind of all season, because it was always, LeBron, Reeves, and AD. Those are the kind of the 3 guys would go off. And then occasionally you'd have Rui, chipping in, or D'Angelo before he got traded. But this was impressive. I mean, start to finish, I was impressed. I mean, I kept waiting for the Nuggets just to take over the way they normally do against LA, and it just didn't happen. They just had their foot on the gas. They didn't let up. One of the Lakers' biggest problems is always letting teams get back in the game, no matter how good they are, right? And Denver's good. I mean, I think they won 9 straight before they played the Lakers. They're cruising, right? Everything seems to be clicking. I think they're relatively healthy. And Jokic is having another MVP caliber season. You probably won't get it. Probably Shea, but he's in the running. It's going to be a two-man race for that award. But anyway, I thought it was interesting, and then I thought it was even more interesting when I saw after. So I was there. I got there super early because I knew, there'd be a lot to see on the floor in the beginning. I thought it was going to be packed with media. I thought it was going to be, all out blitz with media outlets from everywhere, and press boxes packed, post games packed, and it wasn't like that. Strangely enough, it was not at all. Press box had empty seats all over the place, and that doesn't happen. I mean, especially in LA, that doesn't happen. But in Denver, the few games that I've covered there, I think that was my fourth one. It's usually press box packed, but not this game for whatever reason. I wasn't complaining because I love that, because it just gives you more space. It's more comfortable. Those seats are never comfortable, so it sucks sitting in them for 3 hours or 3+ hours or whatever. Anyway, I'm complaining about free seats. You know what I mean? But anyway, so I was down on the court before the game, about 2 hours before the game, watching Luka shoot around, LeBron shoot around, some of the other guys, Reeves. And, talking, I caught up with Jovan Buha, the Athletic. I haven't talked to him forever. I used to see him all the time, and chatting up with him, and had some interesting talks about what he's seen from Luka so far. But I'm not going to go into that. But everything looked good. You know what I mean? The vibe was great. There's no tension. It didn't seem like Luka was like an offshoot, like, a guy just doing his own thing. Cool. I mean, one cool thing, I'm filming from the side, from the court side. So I'm on the court, right? And Luka's finishing his, pregame routine. He comes running off, and these kids literally to the left of me, and these two guys, two older guys, they're trying to get Luka to sign autographs, and Luka didn't even hesitate. Comes right over. I got a video up on my Instagram and my Twitter and Blue Sky showing he's like right in front of me. And I was just like, wow, man, this guy, superstar. A lot of these guys are either one way or the other, right? It's either they're super cold and they don't give a shit, or they're, super, take care of the fans. And then he was like that. And I was like, thank God, I was like relieved. I was like, thank God this guy's cool. And then, he goes running into the tunnel. He does the same thing with all the fans there too. So I knew, as always, no matter what you put on social media, somebody's going to give a negative take to it, right? They're like, oh, they're just giving these rich kids, signing their jerseys or whatever. I'm like, no, dude, when he ran off, he's hitting up every kid, on the way to the tunnel, ones that come down and, put their, jerseys over the railing or whatever, try and get the, player to interact. And he was totally cool. Totally cool. Like same can't be said for a lot of, stars in the league today, but Luka's definitely a real one, man. I was impressed by that. And then obviously was impressed with what he did on the floor, because he was incredible. But he finally looked like himself. I mean, the conditioning is going to take a while. It's just, you can't expect that right out of it. It's game 4 for him in a Lakers jersey. So that'll take some time. And he's this win comes at the best time possible for Luka and the Lakers, because they got just a gauntlet of games coming up. This was a big one. I felt like this one was going to determine where this could be going. And I got to say, I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I've been critical because it's my job to be objective and kind of look at it from just as somebody who knows basketball, been around basketball for a very long time. Somebody like I put it out there during the game. I was live tweeting the game while I was there, and I was impressed with LeBron and the way he was playing defense, because in my opinion, LeBron has just been a zero defensively for a while. Like, we're talking a couple of years, and that's just my take on it. It's just from seeing every single game. And yes, I watch every single game, because some bozos on Twitter came at me. Oh, this shows that Ryan doesn't watch LeBron. I'm like, dude, anybody that says, excuse me, that LeBron's like all defensive first team or even on any defensive team in the league right now is not paying attention or is just totally blinded by fandom. It's one thing I think fans find it very tough to do is separate their fandom from actually watching what's going on, right? So they just see all the good stuff and then none of the bad stuff, right? They just ignore it or pass it over like, oh, just next play, right? And they don't put it on. It's part of the whole equation. You can't just say one thing's good and then ignore all the bad. Like LeBron has been bad defensively because he just doesn't put any effort on that side of the floor. But last night I saw effort, like a lot of it. He was trying to deny Jokic the ball, like adamantly, as if it was game 7 of a playoff series. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is different. And it really struck me because it wasn't just one time. He was doing it multiple times. He was trying to take Jokic out of the game, and it worked. I mean, you can't contain Jokic completely. I know he had a double-double for sure at like the half. I can't remember what he ended up with, but he changed the game that way defensively. And I was like, okay, so this is what's going to happen. Luka's going to take the shoulder the offensive side, and that's his job, right? And LeBron is going to turn back the clock and get to where he was defensively. And he looked good. I was like, wow, the way he was moving his feet, he was getting really physical. He was doing exactly what you need to do to play defense against Jokic. Remind me a little bit of Dwight back in 2020 when he was bodying him up and he was bothering Jokic. And this is before Jokic was Jokic, you know what I mean? Like one of the arguably the best player in the league. But I was super impressed. I was just like, wow. You know, and I hope I see more of that. I hope we all see more of that. I mean, it's just good basketball. And that's what this team needs. They don't have AD, you know, defending the paint anymore and being that rim protector or giving, you know, players like Jokic fits in the paint. And if LeBron can do that consistently, this team is going to be scary good. I mean, there's still a lot of other things that got to come into play. And this is just one game. And that's another thing I noticed. Everybody was freaking out after they won this game, and they crushed them. I think that it was 20 plus was the final score. They won by 20 plus. It was a blowout. I think the Denver pulled their starters. I want to say halfway through the fourth, or with like 4 or 5 minutes left. I didn't notice at first. I was tweeting and then I looked down and I'm like, oh my God, nobody's on the court anymore. All the guys on both sides are done. You know, they're just, it's game over. Which I thought was also cool because I hadn't seen that in a while, especially against a really good team. But I was definitely impressed with LeBron. I was impressed with Luka. Luka looked like Luka. He had that killer instinct in him. He was, you know, nailing shots, talking trash, like showing energy, I mean, there was a couple of times where he got frustrated because he wasn't involved in the offense. I remember one time in particular, he was in the corner and he just was frustrated with the way the player was developing and he wasn't getting looked at as an option. And he just kind of threw his hands up and I'm like, well, that's not great. That's not great optics. But this is like super early in the game. The flow just hadn't been established yet. But obviously that didn't matter, right? Because he just turned it on. He was electric. I mean, I think he had like 16 in the first quarter, which matched his best point total in a Lakers uniform. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be a big night. And he didn't do much in the second quarter, but he didn't need to. And then he just kept going. I mean, the guy's incredible. I just, and his vision is just second to none. He's incredible. I mean, LeBron's a great passer, but I think Luka might be a little bit better. I think because Luka sees way ahead, and I know LeBron has that ability, but he puts guys in places where they don't even realize how open they are. Those are the really great passes. Those are the Magic Johnsons. Those are the LeBrons. You know, like he's just next level. And if that all comes together, I mean, LeBron had a pretty telling quote. So did JJ, actually. I'll get to LeBron's first, though. LeBron says, I'm a natural born wide receiver and he's a natural born quarterback. So it fits perfectly. So obviously their connection, because Luka's kind of gotten the hang of hitting LeBron in stride down the other end of the floor. I mean, it looks seamless. It looks like they've been playing together for like a decade, which is crazy. But that's what happens when you have great players that know how to do that sort of thing on the floor at the same time. It's like their chemistry is just natural because they are so gifted that way, and they just see the game a different way that nobody else can, or a few others. And he also said, I've been running the floor and running lanes pretty much my whole life. And he's been throwing great passes pretty much his whole life. So it's not hard to get in rhythm when it comes to that. It's just all about eye contact and being the great quarterback like he is, and me being the recipient of it. What I like about this too is it's almost like that LeBron is deferring. He's passing the torch. And he's not coming out and saying it per se, but if you read between the lines and all this, and then what I'm going to tell you about what JJ said, then you can see it. It's pretty evident that this is what's going on. Here's JJ's quote JJ was like super like emotional and just hyped. He was just, you could feel it. I mean, this press conference room, this away press conference room was really tiny, really small. So you could, if there's any kind of emotion or anything, I mean, it's palpable, right? And that's how I felt. And I'm standing in the back next to the ESPN camera guys and stuff, right? Because I'm videotaping the whole thing, or filming, or whatever the hell you call it now. But this is what JJ said, and I thought this was interesting because it's where they should go. This is the right thing to do. And he had a "What about Bob" line, which is, if anybody's seen that movie, maybe that's more like my generation, like earlier, but it's classic Bill Murray, Richard Dreyfuss movie. And I just started cracking up in the back. I mean, I'm not to where people were turning heads or anything, but I was like, wow, that's amazing. He says, I think the sort of return to normalcy in some ways is the new normal that we're trying to create for him. He's talking about Luka. There are steps to all of that to become his new normal. In some ways, like, what about Bob? You need baby steps. That's a famous line from the beginning. And tonight was a baby step, but any kind of rambled on a little bit, funny wise. But this was the big line, right? This is the big line that I was like, okay. So
Listeners, are you looking for a shortcut to better auto insurance for you? Something that takes all the research off your plate, something that's easy, something that matches you at lower rates, something genius. That's where NerdWallet comes in. These nerds have already done the work for you. Just answer a few questions and ta-da, you'll be matched with top insurance providers in your area. Find the right rate for you today at nerdwallet.com. After all, using NerdWallet is more than just smart, it's genius. Not all applicants will qualify for the lowest monthly payments. NerdWallet Insurance Services, Inc. CA resident license number OK92033.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Angel Reese y McDonald's tienen la clave para un post-game meal de campeones. Una QPC con salsa barbecue y tocino, papitas y un refresco. Los pros le llaman el Angel Reese Special. Llévate el Angel Reese Special solo en McDonald's. En McDonald's, participantes por tiempo limitado.
This has been talked about, and this is kind of where they're going. I think Luka needs to be the guy that controls the offense. Now, this has been the big question mark, right? Who's the one that does it? LeBron or Luka? Who's the one that's going to be better playing off the ball or with the ball in his hands less? And I think it's been pretty obvious. I mean, even before they played together, that Luka needs the ball in his hands pretty much all the damn time, because that's how he functions. That's why I think he was so frustrated that one play in the corner where he's just like, man, if I don't have the ball in my hands and I'm not controlling this, I can't really do much, right? He doesn't have quick feet. He's not an off-ball guy. I mean, the only thing he really does off-ball is maybe in the paint, getting a couple, rebounds or second chance points type thing, and boxing guys out. But like cutting the basket, stuff like that, it's just not in his game. Whereas LeBron can do it, still can do it at 40, which is crazy. And he had a couple times where he did do it last night, but he says, and Braun and AR, because we're going to stagger everything, they're going to have their times to be on the ball. But all three of these guys are very intelligent basketball players, and we can create mismatches. We can get to teams in the blender. And a lot of times that's how we're able to generate, I thought, some great looks in the first half. Made some early and then went cold. We felt like that we were getting good offense throughout the first half, and they were killing it, and Rui's hitting open shots. AR's hitting open shots. Nobody else really contributed, but Jordan Goodwin made some fireworks in the second half, where I was kind of surprised. That guy seems to be a keeper. But I mean, the main focus right now is making this thing work with their best players. So I thought that was interesting because it's kind of pointing to the direction of where this team's going right now. And if they establish this early, rather than taking, 10 games to get there, it's a good sign, right? As long as everybody's falling in line and they're not pissed off about what their role is going to be. And the one guy you got to make happy in all this is Luka. He's your future. He's the next decade of Lakers basketball. You have to make him happy, and you have to kind of turn the team into what works for him, right? LeBron's, I feel like it's the worst kept secret that LeBron is retiring after next season. I think it's just happening. It makes sense in so many different ways. The team is in a good place now, where a future is established, or it's not a huge question mark unless they struggle to sign Luka to an extension this summer, which I don't think is going to be a problem. I think Windhorst said something about it the other day, like saying the pressure is on and it's, no guarantee or whatever, but I don't believe that crap. Luka's a smart guy. He knows that he's going to make a ton of money in LA, and the team is going to go all out to try and surround him with talent for the next decade, right? There won't be the same kind of restraints that there are in Dallas, right? I think it's easier to get people to come to LA just because of all the glitz and glamour and all the money that can be made off the court. So I don't see that as a problem. But this is great. This is everything that happened last night was awesome in terms of where this Lakers team is going and what to expect. Whether or not it's a championship team, I still don't know. I mean, it's one game. We cannot jump to conclusions. I know a lot of people are. And all the talking heads are, oh my God, championship team. But they'll change that at the next loss. It's just, that's the way that news cycle goes. It's these huge extremes, highs and lows, right? They have to play to their audience, and a lot of fans can jump on that crap. But if you just look at it like, hey, look, pump the brakes. We got some tough games coming up, right? Which is good. I think that's a good thing. Because you don't want a bunch of, crap opponents, and then all of a sudden they get, a reality check against like Boston or something. You know what I mean? It's going to be a good test. I mean, I was looking forward to this game more than any, like coming up, but the next one is going to be incredible, right? Because Dallas is coming to LA, right? AD's not playing. He's still out. He's still out for a while. Who knows? He could be done for the season at some point. But so Dallas is coming Tuesday. That's going to be huge. I put money on Luka dropping 40. I really would. Because I think he's that type of guy, right? He's circling games on the schedule, and he's planning to go off. I guarantee it. And after having this confidence boost, I think it's going to be through the roof. And he's got a few days here to rest, today, tomorrow, and then get to it on Tuesday. And then they got more tough games after that. They got Minnesota on Thursday. I mean, Minnesota's not the same team they were last year, but they're still good and dangerous. Then they have 2 games in a row against the Clippers at Crypto, which is kind of weird. But that's Friday, so that's the second game of a back-to-back. I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron or Luka sit out one of those games. And then they play them a week from today at Crypto again, and then New Orleans, which is a wash, but could be one of those trap games, And then New York on that Thursday after that. Boston, which is going to be huge on March 8th. That's going to be one to watch. And then Brooklyn's another wash game, but could be a trap game. Milwaukee, in Milwaukee, Denver, in Denver again. I won't be at that one because I'll be in LA and got a little event going. And then Phoenix, which I can't say anything about. Sunday, March 16th. There's a chance I will be in LA for that one, in attendance, but I don't know yet for sure. Then San Antonio is kind of a wash now because of Wemby being out, which sucks. And Denver again. I mean, this is it's going to be interesting to see how the next two games go, especially back in Denver on March 14th. Because they're going to have an axe to grind. They're going to get so much crap. I mean, it was a weird vibe in the building last night. I mean, it was in the beginning, it felt like, oh my God, these fans really hate the Lakers. I mean, there's booing, all that stuff. And every time LeBron is at the line or Reeves or whatever, it's just boos, Luka even. And then it totally shifted in the fourth quarter. And there was "Let's Go Lakers" chants, loud "Let's Go Lakers" chants in the crowd. And I was like, wow, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. You got this supposedly avid fan base and they're gone, right? And these Laker fans are so loud. I was tripping. I was like, oh my God. Because I even said before the game started, they're doing the intros and there's just these loud boos and it just felt like enemy territory, right? For the Lakers. And then it just completely changed in 2 hours. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Kind of cool, because that's the way it kind of used to be. But these are tough games, man. These are tough games, and it's going to be challenging. So one cool thing after the game, so I'm, wrapping up, go down. Usually we sit in the press room or the press conference room for, anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes just waiting, right? So JJ didn't take long. He comes in. He's totally ramped up and amped up and just excited, I think, because I think he just saw the true potential of his team. And then we leave there to go to the locker room. So I'm going to the locker room, and I'm right behind JJ. I'm walking right behind him and his staff or whatever. And we take a left going into the locker room, the Lakers locker room. And so we're all filtering in, and I'm like the last one to walk in. And I catch Luka. I'm like, one of the PR people tell JJ, hey, over here, like this. And they're pointing at Luka, and Luka's trying to get his attention. And Luka's like lifting weights or doing some kind of weight training. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's interesting. But that was beside the point. And then see, Luka's just got this giant smile on his face. And he's looking at JJ and he's like, because he knows he just got out of his presser, right? So he's like, hey, did you talk about my steals? With a huge smile. And JJ got a kick out of it. He was laughing. And so Luka had 4 steals, right? Luka's not known as a defender. He's just not. And I went and looked it up. It's not a career high for him. It's actually just one off. But I mean, obviously it's a huge all-around game for him. His career high is 5, ironically, against the Nuggets in Denver back in January 2021. So, and it was funny. A buddy of mine hit me up. Was it before the press conference? I didn't see it till after everything. And he's like, "Hey, man, if you get a chance, because I think he's based in Dallas, he's like, ask JJ or Luka about the steals." And I'm like, "Well, what are you talking about? I mean, it's not that big a deal, right?" Where is it? I gotta find it. I feel bad. I don't want to. There we go. Landon Buford. He known him for a while. He hit me up and he said, he's like, just ask. He's like, watch, just ask, dude. And I didn't get where he was coming from with it. I was like, why would that be such a big deal? And then I see that interaction and I'm like, oh wow, okay. I think because Luka just gets a lot of crap for his defense. That's something that when he does something well on that end, he wants to be acknowledged for it, or he wants to talk about it, or whatever. I just thought that was really cool. It was one of those things that you catch, and I think I was the only one that caught it because everybody else had filtered into the locker room already, and I was just trailing, and I just was like slowly walking because I'm like, something's about to happen here, like some kind of conversation that I'm going to be privy to, right? So I thought that was cool. You could tell for sure that those two are cool with each other and they're friends, they're buddies, right? They're homies. There was just that rapport there. Like, you could tell, like, you see a friend coming down the hallway and you're going to mess with them, or, you say, what's up? And you already got a smile on your face. And that's exactly what it was. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. And the weight training thing's good too, right? He's taking care of his body. I couldn't tell. He just looked like he was holding dumbbells in both hands. And I didn't see the movement that he was doing because it just, all this stuff happened so fast. And then as I'm walking in the locker room, I was like, wow, I got to mention that. That was a pretty cool thing to see. And then people freaked out on Twitter, just getting all excited about it. Both the weights, him using weights after a game, and that interaction. So I thought that was cool. And the next game is Tuesday against his former team. So I would expect Luka to have another incredible game. Be a disappointment at this point if he didn't. But until then, I'll come back on after that and wrap that one up because I'm sure there's going to be some things to talk about, whether it's bad blood or Luka just having an insane game, or who knows. I mean, it's a crazy year. Who knows what could happen? But until then, see you later.
Angel Reese y McDonald's tienen la clave para un post-game meal de campeones. Una QPC con salsa barbecue y tocino, papitas y un refresco. Los pros le llaman el Angel Reese Special. Llévate el Angel Reese Special solo en McDonald's. En McDonald's participantes por tiempo limitado.